In starting of 2025, Donald Trump came back with full-blown aggression on trade. Determined to shape America's global economic stance, he introduced a bold two-tiered tariff plan. First came a universal 10% baseline tariff, which is a flat duty imposed on all imports from all countries, regardless of the existing trade relationship. But that wasn't all. On top of it, he proposed additional reciprocal tariffs, specifically targeted at countries with which the US runs a trade deficit. In other words, if a country charges high tariffs on American goods, the US will match it with an equivalent tariff in return. This move wasn't about duties. It was about using tariffs as leverage to negotiate better trade deals. These 60 trading partners were described as worst offenders, including the European Union and China, and they would face higher rates as payback for unfair trade policies.
I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary.
These reciprocal tariffs were later postponed for 90 days to allow time to negotiate individual trade deals, and deadline was extended until August 1st, 2025. Now, what is Trump's ultimate motive behind all this? It is to fix trade imbalance, protect American industries, and bring back jobs under the bold promise of making America great again. Before we dive deeper, let's simplify what tariffs really are. Tariffs are taxes imposed on goods imported from other countries. For example, a 10% tariff on a $100 product means the importer has to pay an extra $10 in tax, making the total $110. These taxes are paid by the companies that bring foreign goods into the US, but in reality, the cost is often passed on to the consumers. That means American buyers may end up paying more, or companies may choose to import less. This is the basic mechanism Trump is using to reshape global trade in favor of American industries. Trump believed that by imposing tariffs on imported goods, especially from countries like China, he could incentivize companies to bring their manufacturing back to the US. The logic was simple. If importing becomes more expensive due to tariffs, companies would prefer to produce goods locally, that is in USA itself. However, this view overlooked a major challenge, which is the high cost of manufacturing in the US. American labor is significantly more expensive than in countries like China, India, or Vietnam. On top of that, operational costs like rent, utilities, and regulatory compliance are also higher. In April 2025, when reciprocal tariffs were imposed, China was hit hardest. Its retaliatory tariffs on US goods triggered a tit-for-tat spiral. By April 11, US tariffs on Chinese imports had surged to 135, while China countered with tariffs as high as 125% on American exports. This rapid escalation marked a full-scale trade war, disrupting global supply chains and shaking investor confidence. In April, US also imposed 27% tariff on a broad range of Indian goods, citing unfair trade practices and lack of reciprocal access to American products. However, the tariffs were soon paused, and India, along with other affected countries, were given a 90-day window to negotiate a trade agreement to avoid permanent tariff hikes. When the negotiations failed to reach any substantial agreement, President Trump signed an executive order on 31st July 2025 confirming a 25% tariff on Indian exports. The tariff is set to take effect on August 7, 2025 and is expected to impact key sectors including pharmaceuticals, textiles, and auto components. US has trade deficit of $45 billion with India, which means that US imports more goods from India than India imports from US. Trump launched a direct attack on India's trade policies and accuses it of having high tariffs on US goods.
Charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. India charges us auto tariffs higher than 100%.
One of the major sticking points in India-US relations today is India's continued import of crude oil from Russia, even as Russia-Ukraine war rages and Western sanctions remain in place. Despite international pressure, India now sources over 35% of its crude oil from Russia, amounting to an estimated $50 billion annually. This move has drawn sharp criticism from President Trump, who has expressed frustration over countries that continue to fund Russia's war machinery through oil trade. What adds to India's frustration is the blatant double standard in how the issue is being addressed globally. While India is being singled out for importing Russian crude oil, European countries continue to benefit indirectly by importing refined petroleum products such as diesel and jet fuel that originate from Russian crude, often processed through third-party nations, especially India. In fact, many Europeans have profited from this indirect trade route while maintaining a public stance which is aligned with the Western sanctions against Russia. Yet the international spotlight remains disproportionately on India, accusing it of funding the war, even though its actions are legally permissible and rooted in economic pragmatism. This selective outrage has become a growing point of contention in the India-US dialogue. Despite mounting pressure, India has firmly stood up to the bullying by US, making it clear that it will not stop buying Russian crude oil. Indian officials have repeatedly emphasized that any abrupt halt would severely disrupt the global oil supply chains and jeopardize India's own energy security. India argues that its decisions are guided by national interest and global stability, not geopolitical coercion. India's message is clear that the energy needs and the economic pragmatism will not be sacrificed at the altar of Western expectations. While energy has been one area of friction, trade disputes extend beyond oil. Another major sticking point in India-US relations is agriculture and dairy access. US has consistently pushed for greater access to India's vast farm and dairy sectors, viewing them as lucrative, under-tapped markets for American exporters. However, India has fiercely resisted these demands, citing concerns over food security, rural livelihood, and the interests of the millions of small and marginal farmers. If India opens its agricultural market to heavily subsidized US products, it could devastate the local producers and destabilize the rural economy. As a result, agriculture has become not just an economic issue but a politically sensitive battleground in bilateral talks. India has traditionally kept agriculture out of its free trade negotiations with other countries. Granting market access to the US would force India to extend similar concessions to other trading partners. During the ongoing trade negotiations, India is unlikely to agree to US demands to accept genetically modified agricultural products such as corn and soya. The reason for this resistance is that most US corn and soya beans are genetically modified, and India currently doesn't permit the import of genetically modified food crops. Genetically modified crops are widely seen in India as harmful to human health and to the environment. Another key irritant in India-US relations is India's rejection of American F-35 fighter jet for its defense needs. The US had long pitched the F-35 deal as a cornerstone for deepening strategic and defense ties with India. For years, Washington hoped that selling F-35 would cement a long-term alignment with India, but India's response was a firm no, and for a good reason, of course. Under the Make in India initiative, India no longer wants to remain just a buyer. It seeks to become a co-developer and a strategic partner. This marks a significant shift in India's defense posture, from relying on high-cost imports to focusing on joint development, indigenous manufacturing, and technology transfers. It is not just just about saving money, it is about building defense, self-reliance, boosting exports, and reducing long-term dependence on any foreign power, including the US. The refusal has hit American arms companies hard as they lost out on a multi-billion-dollar deal. Some analysts believe that this could be fueling retaliation from sections of the US defense industrial complex as a way to teach India a lesson for asserting too much independence in strategic decisions. In midst of all this, India has remained firm in face of mounting pressure tactics from the United States, refusing to bow down to deals that compromise its national interest. Despite the US pushing hard for agreements that serve its own economic and geopolitical agenda, India has consistently prioritized protecting its sovereignty and indigenous industries, while the US continues to operate with its America First optics, projecting strength, issuing trade threats, pushing for one-sided agreements. India has held its ground. President Trump had earlier imposed a 25% tariff on Indian goods, and now there is talk of raising it further to 50%. But even in face of such aggressive posturing, India's message is clear. National interest comes first. Amidst all this geopolitical tension, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to visit China, signaling a potential recalibration of India-China relations. The upcoming Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in October could serve as a platform for renewed dialogue between the two Asian giants. In the backdrop of US pressure over Russian oil imports and defense choices, the possibility of India, China, and Russia aligning more closely could significantly shift the global balance of power. It remains to be seen how US will respond if these three nations begin coordinating their positions more assertively. But one thing is certain, India is no longer willing to play by the old rules. It is charting its own path and the world is watching. That's it for this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching the video and stay tuned for content like this.